I know you've been following all of this. What do you expect over the next 24 hours?
I would expect a life-changing event in Jamaica. We're about, I would say, about 3 or 4 hours away from this reaching the coastline. The outer eye wall of Hurricane Melissa is about 33 to 35 miles, and it's such a compact, tight eye that those most intense winds are they're confined to that inner eye wall of the hurricane. That's why it looks so symmetrical, and those satellite images that you're showing there are absolutely incredible when it comes to storm structure and hurricane classic structure of a violent Category 5 hurricane, as well as the Hurricane Hunter images you were just showing. Um, Unfortunately, the 8 o'clock advisory just came out. It's still at 175 miles an hour. I think the pressure was 901 millibars. That was estimated. There's another hurricane flight that was supposed to be going in there. I don't know if they'll get to it before this makes landfall, but uh, the intensity of this storm is it's going to be catastrophic, and especially along that southwest coast of the island, and then to the higher elevations. So I would say everywhere from the right side of the eye eastward is going to experience that onshore flow, the intense storm surge, 9 to 12 feet potentially. But what's really concerning is the sustained Category 5 winds. Um, I've been chasing hurricanes for 30 years, and I've never experienced 175 miles an hour at the coast. The strongest hurricane that I've been in was like Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Charley, a lot of storms in Florida. But I can't imagine being at higher elevations with this storm coming on shore in just a few hours, because as you go up in height, in elevation, your winds are going to increase. So some of the smaller communities that are higher up in elevations could experience some intense winds later today.
Wow.
You know, when you talked about the 175-mile-per-hour winds, typically they start to slow at least when they hit land. Do you anticipate that happening at least in part, or is this just going to blow through there at these top speeds?
I believe it'll start to unwind as it starts to interact with the mountains. So as the storm starts to go over the island, you'll see, even in satellite imagery, you'll start to see that eye wall kind of collapse on itself, as it gets disrupted by the higher elevation of the mountains, and that will bring the wind speed down initially and stuff. For the storm surge, no, that won't. That should maintain all the way to landfall, because even though the winds, the pressure might rise, maybe 10, 15 millibars, the winds take a little bit longer to come down, and with the storm surge as well. The storm is accelerating, so it's not moving as slow as it was earlier. Like overnight, it kind of stalled before it started making its northeast turn, and now I believe it's at around 7 or 8 miles an hour. It will slowly start to accelerate through the day, which is really good, because that'll get it across the island a little faster. Because who wants to go through a Category 5 for a long duration? 6, 7 hours.
Right.
Um, the one thing I could say is it's hitting at daylight, so everyone's going to experience the worst on the island during daylight, which is a lot better than the pitch black of night. So we're really concerned about a lot of structural failures, and then the mudslides, once you get inland.
And with this rainfall between 20 and 40 inches, what type of impact would that have on Jamaica's infrastructure?
I can't. I'm trying to think of certain hurricanes that put down that type of rainfall in a mountainous area. I'm thinking of like Hurricane Mitch, and you had even Hurricane Gilbert in 1988 that affected the island. All that water has to come down, so you're going to have it falling in the high elevation areas and a lot of the tropical rainforests and mountains. All that's going to just come rushing down through the rivers, through the communities and stuff. So I don't know what we're going to see. 12 hours from now, I imagine we're going to see a lot of not only wind damage, folded down forests and trees, but also just certain communities that are probably going to experience catastrophic flooding.
Mark, we can hear that concern in your voice. Before we
Yeah.
go, just quickly, what's the impact going to be? Any kind of impact we might see on the U.S. coast?
I would think once the storm clears Cuba and gets into the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas, Southeast Bahamas, we might experience some swells along the Florida East Coast, just as up through the Mid Atlantic as the storm moves northeast towards Bermuda. But a cold front sweeping through Florida today, which is sparing the eastern seaboard of the United States.
Jeff, I should say Jeff Gammons, thanks so much. I
Yes.
mistakenly called you Mark. I don't know where that came from, but we really appreciate your perspective on this and all your experience. And it really drives home when you hear someone with Jeff's experience talking about things he's never seen or experienced before in terms of the wind velocity and the amount of rain. That's concerning.
Yeah, he brought up a couple good points, though. Hopefully, the fact that it's hitting in the daytime is going to make rescue efforts easier, if that's the case. And hopefully, the fact that it is speeding up means that it will pass
Quickly.
a little bit quicker than it was before. Before it was going
Get
2
those
miles
rain
an hour.
totals back down
Yeah.
near 20 or less would be great news.